So did you think about the question I asked you at the beginning of Mass? If you were talking to children about what death is, what transition from this world to the next is, what do you say to them? What I hear a lot of people say is, let's say great-grandma passed away. What the parents might say to the child is, in response to the question, what happened? God needed another angel in heaven, honey. So now great-grandma is one of God's angels. And you know, that's a fine thing to say, I think. It's probably developmentally appropriate. It helps the child to know that great-grandma is with God and angels are with God, so that makes sense. It helps them to have a mental picture. But it just would be good for us to all agree together that although that's something we might say to children, let's all agree that we know that's not true. That's not what happens. No one becomes an angel. And tonight's feast explains why. We celebrate tonight that Jesus' mother Mary did not have a funeral. She was taken, body and soul, into heaven. And the reason we believe that, the reason people have believed that for so many centuries in the church, is because of her life. Total faithfulness, total commitment, total trust. She had steadfastness in the good times and in the bad. And so there reached a point in her life where her life and the life of heaven became indistinguishable. You couldn't tell where her life ended and heaven began. That is what we celebrate in the Feast of the Assumption. It became natural for her to rise like helium into that realm because her life and the life of heaven had become one. One of the key things we have to always focus on whenever we're thinking about Jesus' mother Mary is that she was human. She was not divine, she was not a goddess, and she wasn't an angel. We don't believe in that. We believe that she was human. She was not unlike us. She was a human person. You would have been able to relate to her. She was, however, a human person who had flowered into her full potential. When we look at Mary, we see someone who had no more growing left to do. She had figured out the essentials of life. At the beginning of a child's life, when we baptize a child, we give them a lit candle. And we say to the parents, receive the light of Christ. Let this light be kept burning brightly so it can guide the way. Well, Mary had that light, but in Mary's life, the dawn eventually grew so bright that she didn't need the candle anymore, and she snuffed it out. Because when you have that much brightness in your life, you don't need any assistance. So we are not here tonight to celebrate that Mary was an angel or a goddess. No. We are here to celebrate that she was human. Extraordinarily human. So this is exactly why great-grandma does not become an angel when she dies. Because human beings don't become something else. We were made in God's image and likeness. We were made human. Our goal is not to become angels, it's to become extraordinarily human. What we celebrate tonight is that she is the toast of our race. She is the finest example of what a human can be if they give into their fullest potential. If we were to ever flower into what we could truly become, we would be like her. Have you ever noticed that the news has become excruciating to watch. You know, I was talking with an elder recently, a woman who's lived almost 9 decades, and I said, these are really hard times. I said, do you think that earlier in your life you saw harder times? And I was half hoping that she would say, oh yeah, World War II, that was way worse than this. The 60s, way worse. But she didn't. She said, no, these are the hardest. These are the hardest times I've seen. And you know, I think that's because when we watch the news, what we see a lot of is people treating other people in ways that we would call inhuman. Have you ever caught yourself using that word? That's inhuman. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about tonight. You're right, that's inhuman. That's not who we are. That is beneath us. That is not worthy of people made in God's image and likeness. Tonight, we are acknowledging that human beings were meant to be great, and we were meant to flower into our full potential. We are here to celebrate that we know a human and are related to a human who was the very best that our race had to offer, who shows what we look like when we reach our potential. So tonight, we are being invited to leave behind whatever is inhuman in this world and in our lives, whatever is not worthy of us. When we become fully human, when we reach our full potential, there'll be no division between our life and the life of heaven. They'll just merge into one. We, at our full potential, are living in that kingdom that God has described. And that invitation is one that is meant to guide us always. And let's face it, we have never known a person to live beyond a lifetime on this earth. No one gets to stay here forever. Everyone has left at some point, and we will too. One poet says that's something we should always keep in our mind, that no one can resist a divine invitation. When God gives you an invitation, you are going to go, but you have a choice. You can put on your best clothes and show up dressed for dancing, or you can be carried there on a stretcher. But all of us get there. Can we choose to come to the party dressed expectantly, ready, happy to greet God? Tonight what we celebrate is that we do not need to be angels. Jesus wasn't an angel, and Mary wasn't an angel either. Just being human, that's more than enough.